It's a 5-mana minion. If you attack them once, they die. Like, I see a lot of potential here. 1 mana Worm, in that whole thought experiment of, what would be the best deck in the game if there were no class restrictions, you would definitely be playing like a Mana Worm Innervate Rogue deck. So now we don't have Innervate, but we have Coin. We don't have Mana Worm, but we have 5 mana big Mana Worm that kills them. I don't know. I think it might be good enough. Especially, just think about, like, you play this, Counterfeit, Coin, Conceal. Yeah, I don't know. It hits so hard, If they don't have too big of a board on the turn that you play it, it's very tough to kill a 6 health minion on turn 5. So I'm optimistic. I actually think this will see play in some builds, but we'll see. Moving on, we got Streetwise Investigator. Battlecry, enemy minions lose stealth. So enemy minions losing stealth. This was a kind of card that needed to get printed because Blizzard wants there to be neutral counterplay tools. Like, if you lose to a deck, Blizzard wants there to be something in your collection that you can go to and be like, okay, I want to be prepared for this deck next time I play against it. So this is like Eater of Secrets, or the Demon Silencing card, or like Saboteur against Inspire decks, right? When they make Inspire a mechanic, they add Saboteur. When they decide we are going to push stealth, we're not going to just stop making it in the game, that's when they print Streetwise Investigator. They print some hoser cards, and I think that's fine. I'm glad that this exists in the game in case that ever gets out of hand. Ancient of Blossoms, 6 mana, 3/8 taunt with some flavor text. Good for him. Some hot pink hair. I like it. It's edgy. Big Time Racketeer. This is what all of my 5-drops are going to evolve into on stream. It's kind of a cool card. So I'm going to 6/6 Ogre. I don't really know. I guess if you have your own evolve, that's where you get some value out of this, but it seems like a lot of work and a lot of awkward cards that you're playing in order to get an advantage. I'm having a hard time picturing a deck where this sees play, but it will affect evolve RNG and stuff like that. Moonglade Portal is going to get me this a lot, I don't know, man. I don't expect it to see too much play, to be honest, but it does have some synergies with, evolve and bounce effects and stuff like that. So, Small Time Buccaneer. This card is super exciting, man. People are saying Rogue didn't get anything, but Tempo Rogue is actually one of my favorite builds of Rogue. It has been for a long time, and I played it at Top 100 Legend last month for, or was it 2 months ago? It was 2 months ago. It was September, I want to say. I streamed it on no delay in Top 100 Legend, end of the season for must have been 20 games, and it held Top 100 Legend, which means 66% win rate. And that was back when Abusive Sergeant was a 2-1. But my 1-drops I was playing were very weak. I was playing Lowly Squire, because hero powering turn 2 is what you want to do in Rogue a lot of times. I was playing Swashbuckler, who was great, obviously. I was playing Buccaneer. This card is better than all of those except for Swashbuckler. Buccaneer is incredible. It's just a very, very good card. Play it for the same reasons I play Lowly Squire. Going second, it's definitely a lot weaker, but this kind of card is just what's going to enable, this along with patches is going to make aggressive Pirate Rogue an actual deck. Yeah, just excited to be playing with it. It'll be very, very good. We got Backroom Bouncer. Whenever a friendly minion dies, gain 1 attack. Yeah, card just sucks. I like the art, but pretty clearly weak. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Going back to Small Time Buccaneer. That card might be enough to push Tempo Rogue over the edge. Now you actually have enough good 1-drops that plus patches. We'll see. Bomb Squad will just never see play, in my opinion. If you can, the reason it won't see play is if you compare it to Assassinate. If Assassinate was a neutral card, would you play it in Druid? Probably not still. You'd probably still play Mulch instead. Maybe you'd play Assassinate. Maybe you'd play 1. This is worse than Assassinate. It doesn't kill Ragnaros. So you're basically paying 5 mana for a 5 damage spell to a minion only, which every class can do something better than that for 5 mana. and then the Death Rattle just wrecks you. Like, and the 2/2 that you get in the meantime for value is just not that much value. So, Bomb Squad just feels like a very weak card to me. Pretty much across the board. Like, I don't see doing too much with it. I mean, maybe in the Shadow Step deck I can do some crazy stuff, but outside of that, seems weak. So Doppelgangster, along with the Monkey, is going to be the standard 5-drop for Hunter, because Hunter's going to play all the hand buffing effects. Yeah, you buff this guy once, and that's a 9/9 for 5. Oh, this card is sick. Absolutely sick. It's a way to kind of force the hand buffs to see some amount of play. It gives all those decks a solid 5-drop, which they didn't necessarily have without this. It's a good card. It's a good card. You know, depending on how playable the hand buff things are, this will be a guaranteed 2 of in all of the decks that are based around that mechanic. Secondary Bruiser, costs 2 less. Your opponent has at least 3 minions. I think this is just on average going to be like not good enough to play, but you know, maybe, just maybe, after playing a million games of Standard, I'll find room for this guy and he'll kind of make sense in some kind of archetype for me. But you know, we'll see. We'll see how I feel about it. Let's see. Moving down, we got Spiked Hog Rider. If an enemy minion has taunt, gain charge. It's kind of interesting against like Sludge Belcher and Wild. Its stats aren't bad. The benefit is very good, and the condition is not that hard to meet. So if there's a deck that forces your opponent to have a taunt somehow, then maybe it's a solid deck. But you know, overall, I'm not expecting it to see any play, obviously, but it's the least unplayable of all of them, I think. We got Weasel Tunneler. Love the art. Shuffle this minion into your opponent's deck. See, I was wondering if this is worth playing in Hunter, but in Hunter, I think it's going to be tempo-oriented. When you tunnel them, it gives them like a 5% chance to draw an Angry Chicken every single draw step. How often will that actually win the game? Probably not as often as like a Fiery Bat Juggle or something like that. And you're drawing Angry Chicken like 100% of the time you play this. So, probably not good enough, but it's a cool effect. Richard Garfield designed this whole parasite mechanic like a decade ago. And then it's cool to see Hearthstone implementing it digitally, because it's so hard to implement in person. So they do it with like cards like Beneath the Grounds. They do it with like the Iron Juggernaut Mine. Now they're doing it with Weasel Tunneler. I like it. It's a really cool mechanic. It can be expanded upon a lot. Alright, we got Dirty Rat. This is a taunt. Battle Cry, your opponent summons a random minion. So see, when it says summon, I don't know if they get the Battle Cry. I don't know how it works. If it just gets thrown into play, this can be used as a counter to some sort of Battle Cries, I guess. But it's on average, it just seems like too easy to get wrecked by playing this card. And if it ever is actually like good and it becomes mainstream, you just start mulliganing in a different way against people sometimes. Like, maybe you keep your expensive minion if you already have a decent curve. Maybe if I already have some early game, maybe I'll just keep my Doom Guard. I don't know. It's not the worst card. It's definitely interesting. I don't see how to get a benefit out of it consistently. Maybe with like Mind Control Tech or something. We got Blubber Baron. I think this card's just too slow to get going to really be worth it. There's better stuff you can put in your deck for 3 mana. I like the art though. It's kind of a common theme here. I like the art on a lot of cards. Felt Orc Soul Fiend. Start of your turn, deal 2 damage to this minion. I mean, 3 mana, 3/5, and it deals 2 to itself every single turn. If that's good enough for Resurrect Priest, then more power to them. You can Purify it, which I like. It's not unplayable. If you do play it, you put it in Priest. Other than that, though, not the strongest card in the world, I guess. It's definitely interesting, though. It's like almost really good, you know? If it was a 3/8, probably be too good. Burgly Bully. This is whenever your opponent casts a spell, add a coin to your hand. Cards like this will never see play, in my opinion. They're trying to make like a more tame version of low fab, just in case that counterfeit form Miracle Rogue is too good. But the reality is, getting a coin is not going to stop you from being in like a losing position too much. I mean, God, maybe, I don't know. I don't see a time when you put some card over next to card, right? So many decks have 5 drops. Every Azure Drake deck has too many 5 drops. There's a lot of Azure Drake decks. Burgly Bully is just like another card that, I mean, it'll be powerful because I think it'll be a very spell-based meta. There'll be a ton of spells flying around, especially out of Druid and Rogue and Mage. But with that said, like, how good is getting a coin, you know? Like, maybe you play this in a ramp Druid so that you can actually take advantage of the coin you get. Maybe you play it in, like, Tempo Mage. Like, I don't really know what deck you're putting this in that it's worth it. You got Defias Cleaner, Battlecry Silence, and Minimal Death Rattle, so way better stats, and way more selective on the Silence target. Again, these are like role player cards, right? Like, if certain things happen in the metagame, you might run these things. You know, if there's just too much Sylvanas and Tomb rotates out, well, Priest is still going to play a 5-mana guy over those. But some classes that want like a Boulder Fist Ogre may choose to play this if they have a weakness to something like Sylvanas. But unlikely. I think it's probably just not going to see play. Spellbreaker's extra versatility. Fight Promoter says if you control a minion with 6 or more health, draw 2 cards. It counts itself, right? If you buff it. It's an interesting card. Is that better than like Savannah Highmane and Hunter? Probably not. I think it's just not good enough to see play, too inconsistent. There's a small chance. You can play it with a few different things, power overwhelming and stuff. I don't know. I think just one of those cards is too much work. If I have to ask myself if it's good enough after this expansion, it's probably not good enough because there's going to be so many playables. Then we got the Hog Leader, Battlecry, if you're playing with 6 or more cards in the charge. Maybe in like a Cold Light Oracle deck, this could see some amount of play, but you know, outside of like Fatigue Mage playing Cold Light Oracle and attacking with this, I just don't see it being that strong. Yeah. Maybe just maybe there's a situation where it's worth putting in your deck, but I think it's pretty rare. Wind Up Burglebot is pretty bad. Whenever it attacks and survives, you draw a card. There's better ways to draw cards. There's cheaper ways to get a 5/5. Patches the Pirate. Oh my god, this card is going to tilt me more than like anything else in this expansion. Let me set this up for you, alright? I'm going to have 2 mana. I'm going to have 2 options. I can either use the 2 mana to set up a hero power or play my 2-drop, or I can inefficiently play my 1-mana Pirate just to get Patches out of my deck. Now I'm going to say out loud to my stream, well, it's better to be mana efficient because it's only a 1 in 24 chance that I draw Patches next turn. And then I'm going to draw Patches next turn. And then the stream is going to end. And this is going to be a pretty common thing, I think. This is another example of them moving away from board-based RNG into card draw-based RNG. But is the card good? Yes. It may single-handedly make Tempo Rogue a actual deck. It's powerful. I'll see you playing every pirate deck going forward. It's an inherently broken effect. There's a reason that they've avoided printing this card at the same time Ship's Cannon was in the format. Keeps getting pushed back to other expansions. Patches is strong. Patches is super strong. Okay. Excuse me. Alright. Auction Master Beardo. After you cast a spell, refresh your hero power. I think you play this in the Priest deck with the 5 mana, like, what was it called? Raza Unchained. If you have a 0 mana hero power, you can do some crazy stuff with this. It's a powerful card, kind of throwing back to TGT a little bit. It's going to work with some Inspire minions that you might be playing back then. Not good enough for most decks, but it is a strictly better spider tank that's finally available in neutral, which we haven't had for a while, to my knowledge, I think. No, we've had Twilight Elder. Well, regardless, this actually has upside. But yeah, interesting card. We got Sergeant Sally, which is actually very relevant AoE. I'm pretty sure you play this in Reno Lock. Even though you only have Power Overwhelming to work with it, it might just be enough. It's a really weird card, but it's also a card that, like, when it's a potentially strong neutral AoE spell, that's something to take a lot of notice of, right? Let's say I'm playing like Aggro Paladin and I'm playing a lot of buffs, right? Because I'm trying to make my 1-mana guy draw me a card when he dies. Sergeant Sally, even though I'm playing an aggressive deck, all of a sudden she's an AoE card that I should be playing. So if I have board control and I play Sally, I don't know, like they have to spend like time killing it before they play minions. If they don't, you can Blessing of Kings it, attack the minion. Sally's a good card, like a very, very good card. It's going to take some time to figure out the optimal place to put it, though. But it's possible that like Zoo with, you know, abusive and double power overwhelm is where it should be. I could definitely see it being played in Wild, for example. Yeah, interesting card for sure. Now Genzo the Shark, which I'm actually going to put in a lot of decks to start off just to see if it's good. I'm going to try it in Zoo and see if it's good. I'm going to try it in like Aggro Paladin as a third drop of Divine Favor. Pretty much any suicidally aggressive decks, right? I'll try it in Hunter probably. There's so many lists you can test it in just to see if it's good enough. The stats are strong, the ability is super strong. It's a good card, I think. The question is it better than other 4-drops like Houndmaster and stuff like that? That's really a tough question, right? I don't know until I play with it a lot, but it looks very playable. I've got Finja the Flying Star. Yeah, I mean, you'll play it in the Paladin Murloc deck. I don't know how good it'll be. You probably want to play Leroy in that deck anyway, just to skillfully earn some wins off the top. If you play Leroy combos with this, because like if your opponent has Finja, you're not going to play low attack minions into it. You're going to play high attack minions. So you're going to want to give them whelps sometimes with this. That's a very like niche scenario, but I can see it coming up. But yeah, Finja is a really tough card to evaluate. I think that a 5-mana 2/4 stealth with this specific effect, like the power level of the effect is going to depend on how strong the Murlocs in your deck are. There's just like so many variables to account for. I think you just play it in that deck because why not? Like if it's not good enough in the Murloc deck, it's not good enough anywhere. You should at least test it. But I think the Murloc deck is unlikely to be too competitive. If it is, though, you know, you do play this card in it. I'm fairly certain. I think for the Murloc deck, it is good enough. I just think the Murloc deck itself is not good enough. Madame Goya, choose a friendly minion, swap it with a minion in your deck. There might be some weird combo deck that plays like 3 minions with this, but I just don't see it. Like, it can put a minion deck in your deck that you want in there sometimes, but I think it's just too expensive, too clunky, too weird to consistently make use of and get positive value out of, so I don't expect too much out of Madame Goya. And we got Rathian, second to last card here. Taunt, Battle Cry, draw cards until you draw one that isn't a dragon. Rathian is interesting. There's going to be other 6-drop options in dragon decks. The aggressive ones have Dragon Crusher, defensive ones have Bookworm, or the Priest Potion. So to play a 6-mana guy that just draws you some cards makes you really wonder, is it good enough if it only draws one? That's a really tough question to answer. I think that because it's not a dragon itself, the answer is no. I think if you compare it to Azure Drake, I would rather just pay 1 less mana and also have a dragon in my hand. So I expect Rathian to not make the cut in a dragon decks in general, which is like something that's pretty bold to say because it's literally a legendary crafted for dragon decks with pretty clear value. I just think that, like, on average, I don't know, maybe I'm only thinking of a worst case scenario, But even in the best case scenario, drawing a bunch of cards doesn't always change whether you win or lose. What does change whether you win or lose is tempo. And I would rather get the tempo from playing a Bookworm or a removal spell, almost always. And then we got Mayor Noggin Fogger. Flavor text is "fuck you, Rainad." They have to spend like time killing it before they play minions. If they don't, you can Blessing and Tinge it and attack the minions. Sally's a good card, like a very, very good card. It's going to take some time to figure out the optimal place to put it, though. It's possible that like Z with abusives and double power overwhelming is where it should be. I could definitely see it being played in Wild, for example. Yeah, interesting card for sure. Yeah, Genzo the Shark, which I'm actually going to put in a lot of decks to start off just to see if it's good. I'm going to try it in Zoo and see if it's good. I'm going to try it in like Aggro Paladin as a third copy of Divine Favor. Pretty much any suicidally aggressive decks, right? I'll try it in Hunter probably. There's just so many lists you can test it in just to see if it's good enough. The stats are strong, the ability is super strong. It's a good card, I think. The question is it better than other 4-drops like Houndmaster and stuff like that? That's really the tough question, right? I don't know until I play with it a lot, but it looks very playable. Now we got Finja the Flying Star. Yeah, I mean, you'll play it in the Paladin Murloc deck. I don't know how good it'll be. You probably want to play Leroy in that deck anyway, just to skillfully earn some wins off the top. If you play Leroy combos with this, because like if your opponent has Finja, you're not going to play low attack minions into it. You're going to play high attack minions. So you're going to want to give them whelps sometimes with this. That's a very like niche scenario, but I can see it coming up. But yeah, Finja is a really tough card to evaluate. I think that a 5-mana 2/4 stealth with this specific effect, like the power level of the effect is going to depend on how strong the Murlocs in your deck are. There's just like so many variables to account for. I think you just play it in that deck, because why not? Like if it's not good enough in the Murloc deck, it's not good enough anyway. You should at least test it. But I think the Murloc deck is unlikely to be too competitive. If it is, though, you do play this card in it. I'm fairly certain. I think for the Murloc deck, it is good enough. I just think the Murloc deck itself is not good enough. Madame Goya, choose a friendly minion, swap it with a minion in your deck. There might be some weird combo deck that plays like 3 minions with this, but I just don't see it. Like, it can put a minion back in your deck that you want in there sometimes, but I think it's just too expensive, too clunky, too weird to consistently make use of and get positive value out of. So I don't expect too much out of Madame Goya. We got Rathian, second to last card here. Taunt, Battle Cry, draw cards until you draw one that isn't a dragon. Rathian is interesting. There's going to be other 6-drop options in dragon decks. The aggressive ones have Dragon Crusher, defensive ones have Bookworm, or the Priest Potion. So to play a 6-mana guy that just draws you some cards makes you really wonder, is it good enough to only draw one? That's a really tough question to answer. I think that because it's not a dragon itself, the answer is no. I think if you compare it to Azure Drake, I would rather just pay 1 less mana and also have a dragon in my hand. So I expect Rathian to not make the cut in a dragon deck in general. Which is like something that's pretty bold to say because it's literally a legendary crafted for dragon decks with pretty clear value. I just think that like on average, I don't know, maybe I'm only thinking of the worst case scenario, but even in the best case scenario, drawing a bunch of cards doesn't always change whether you win or lose. What does change whether you win or lose is tempo, and I would rather get the tempo from playing a Bookworm or a removal spell, almost always. And then we got Mayor Noggin Fogger. Flavor text is "fuck you, Rainad." I assume this works with attacks too. It's like a really big Mogre the Ogre that works for spells too, is how I'm assuming this works. If I attack an enemy minion, can my minion redirect to my own minion, like misdirection, or can I only attack other enemy minions? I don't really know how it works. If it's 100% chaotic and my own swipes can target my own stuff, even though it says only enemy thing, I don't know. Well, that's probably doesn't work like that. But if my own minions can attack my own minions with this on the board, then it gets interesting. It's actually a pretty powerful effect in a lot of ways that, I don't know, you can do some crazy stuff with. If your opponent has a lot of minions and you, like, if it actually works like misdirection, imagine playing this on a board where they have like 6 or 7 dudes. You need like a Deathwing or a Yogg-Saron. So that they can't play a removal spell because it'll shoot their own guy, right? If they attack, they'll trade into their own guy. You wipe like most of their board. So I think Mayor Noggenfogger's actually maybe strong if minion attacks can do a 180 and attack, you know, the person's own minions. But if not, then it's just a very weak defensive option. It's probably not going to see any play. So anyway, that's my Mean Streets